This is a little experiment for my brothers and sisters in Cincinnati of Unity to see if this fits, see how this goes. I was thinking that there were a number of choices we could make other than being physically present with one another. One of the things that I've discovered with Zoom and other electronic methods of communication is that we really can touch one another over or beyond time and space. It's not the same as physical contact, but the connection is there. And maybe that's something we're learning, that when we get back in physical touch with one another, that we still can be in contact with one another in different ways, in ways that go beyond time and space. Energetically, vibrationally, we can connect with one another. And so here we are doing that in a rather interesting kind of way. As I sit with you today, there are a couple of themes that come to my mind. The first one is sadness. I think there's a tremendous amount of sorrow and grieving that we have all done in this past year or so. Whether that has been directly related to physical illness of ourselves or other loved ones, sickness, death, or dying, or other forms of separation, or whether that has just been for mankind in general. Sometimes I think we look at grieving as being not very spiritual. If we really believed very, very deeply, then we wouldn't be grieving, we wouldn't experience loss. And yet I believe grieving and loss is part of our human experience. It is what we do when we lose something, when we are missing something, when we lose or missing someone. It's a natural part of our existence. It's a natural part of our process of movement. It is a natural part of our process of healing. And so in our meditation this morning, we are going to examine and put ourselves in that process of healing in a little bit of a different way, in a way perhaps that allows us to grieve and to heal at the same time, without judgment, without fear, without any sort of recrimination. And so let us take a few moments, find a comfortable spot to be in. And as you allow yourself to find that place, that space, to first of all get in touch with your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. And then allow your breathing to find its own natural rhythm, because it will. You might need to take a couple of deep breaths consciously to allow the lungs to expand, to allow your body and your energy field to soften a little bit. And then falling back into the natural rhythm of your breathing, the rhythm of life. For a moment, get yourself in touch with your physical body. Recognize its position, what you might be feeling physically. And then very gently detach yourself from that for a moment. Pull yourself away from your body's sensations and simply realize that you have a body, but you are not your body. You are more than that. And then allow yourself to do something quite similar with your feelings, your emotions. To take a look at whatever might be rocking around inside of you. There are feelings and emotions that have names. that you can identify. There are those which you're not quite sure of, but they're still there. Just let them be for a moment. Detach yourself from those feelings and emotions. Allow them to be. Simply realize that I have feelings, I have emotions, but I am not my feelings. I am not my emotions. I am more than that. And then allow yourself to do something very similar with your thinking mind and your thoughts. Take a moment to become aware of your mind, the constant chatter, the constant working on material. And recognize your thoughts in your mind as being part of your human experience. And gently move away from them, gently detach yourself from your thoughts in your mind. Recognizing that you have thoughts, you have a mind, and yet you are more than that. You are more than your body. You are more than your emotions and your feelings. You are more than your mind and your thoughts. And simply allow yourself to be in that expanded space. Becoming aware of this deeper, higher self of yours. That recognizes your ego and your personality consciousness, and yet also knows that is not who you are. And allows you gently at this moment in time to become aware of a pattern of thought or behavior that might have been with you for a long period of time, but which now no longer serves you. It might still be there in your repertoire of action or thought or response, and yet you have become aware on a deeper level that this pattern of thought and behavior is no longer necessary for you. And so you make a willing decision on your part to release this and let it go. Imagine, if you will, that you stand in front of an altar. And an altar is the bridge between your human self and your divine consciousness. And you recognize this pattern of thought and behavior that you created out of your humanness, perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of the need for protection, perhaps for the need for comfort or peace. And yet you realize it never quite fulfilled that promise. It became energy that was fairly well wasted. And so you imagine yourself holding this pattern of thought or behavior in your spiritual hands and putting it on the altar, putting it in this place where it can be taken up by the divine energy and be transformed and released. It doesn't matter whether it's big or small. You can do this later with any process you would like. But for now, just let the one that comes to your mind be the one that you hold in your hands and release on the altar. And breathe into that spot that is open now and somewhat empty. and allow it to be filled with light and warmth and tenderness and love and mercy and compassion. And you might feel a little tug from your limited personality self that has depended upon this pattern of thought or behavior for quite a while, thought it was necessary and maybe even important. And so even though there is a beautiful release here, there might also be a sense of loss. And we recognize that and we honor that. At the same time, we allow that sense of loss or that seeming emptiness to be filled with light and love and grace. So there is no judgment and no regrets for whatever it is we have held on to for this length of time. There is simply gratitude for the realization that what no longer serves me energetically is now being released and transformed. And I am free. I am free. I am free. And in this expression of freedom, I realize that my release and my healing not only touches me, but touches all mankind. My healing is the healing of the world. My healing is your healing as well. And for that I am grateful and I am at peace. Back to the rhythm of your breathing again. This rhythm of life, moving in, moving out, filling, emptying. No judgment, because each one is important in its own way. We can learn from each side of any duality. And now gently coming back to your physical awareness, becoming aware of having a mind and having thoughts, becoming aware of having feelings and emotions, becoming aware of having a body and a physical presence, and taking a couple of deep cleansing breaths, stretching a bit if you like, coming fully back here, healed, cleansed, open to newness. And so you can do an exercise such as this any time or any place you would like, certainly except when you're driving a car, or do something distracting like that. But anything that you need to let go of, or grieve, or release, or allow to be transformed. The process of that growth, of that healing, is inside of each one of us. And so we close this session today with a wonderful little Buddhist prayer that reflects, may all beings be at peace. May all beings be free of suffering. And may all beings remember who they are. And that is certainly true for each one of us. To remember, to keep in mind, to reinforce, I am a divine child of God, unconditionally loved. And so is everyone around me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.